What's up? I'm your host, Sky, with the Theskyereport, Voices of the Homeless. Right now, I'm speaking with
Megan Colvard from Path.
Fantastic. I'm so excited to be able to get you online.
I'm so happy to be here with you.
Yes. So how does your organization help the homeless exactly?
So, a little bit of background. So, Path is one of the largest homeless organizations in the state of California. We serve in 140 communities throughout California, working with local governments to help address the homeless issue. In the small ways, Path works along the homeless service continuum, from street outreach to rapid rehousing, housing placement, and then most importantly, we have an arm of our organization that actually builds permanent supportive housing from the ground up, Path Ventures.
That is so incredible.
So we work to develop housing options and solutions for people in need. And we do everything from the streets. We have a team on the ground 40 hours per week, engaging individuals in encampments and in shelters and on the streets throughout the area. And our number one objective is to help every client that we serve make it home.
And that's a wonderful way to put it. How does your organization differentiate themselves from other organizations that help the homeless? How do you think you're different?
That's a great question. I think what separates Path from, the typical homeless service model, at least historically, is we're not shelter focused. We funnel the great majority of our resources into ensuring that every individual that we serve makes it into their own permanent home and apartment. So while we do offer temporary solutions like bridge housing for people in need, our number one objective is how do we end homelessness for individuals, families, and communities by getting people into their own permanent home. I think that's where the transformation is, and that's where communities get win-wins.
And that is so powerful. Why do you think people perceive the homeless in such a negative way?
Oh, goodness. I think the primary issue is I think there is a perception. I think one of the greatest challenges is that as a society, I think we've come to see homeless individuals as the other and not as similar to us. And I think that's, really problematic.
Yes.
I think there's a lot of myths around homelessness.
Yes.
Some of the three central myths that I love to talk about are, people. I get a lot of feedback, people want to be on the streets. And
I hear that.
And people, as a society, we get the impression that people don't want to be housed. And, statistically, that's just not the case. Specifically in San Jose and in Santa Clara County, during our last homeless count, 91% of individuals surveyed said that if permanent affordable housing were available tomorrow, 91% of respondents said that they would move into housing tomorrow. And, anecdotally, that's also just not the case in what our teams are finding on the streets. People want to make it back home.
They want to make it back home.
I think another common myth that we see is, if we develop services for people in need in San Jose, people from all over the country are going to come to San Jose to seek those services. And also statistically, what we're seeing is actually 83% of individuals surveyed in our last homeless count said that they became homeless. They were residents of Santa Clara County when they became homeless. And 57% of those individuals said that they had been residents of Santa Clara County for 10 years or more.
Yes.
So what we do know is that when we develop services for people in need, we are housing our own. We're housing our neighbors. And it's our responsibility to serve the people of our community.
What do you think are some of the primary causes of homelessness?
Again, I'm looking at a lot of the data that we have from our homeless counts. I think another common myth is that people become homeless primarily due to mental health challenges and substance use challenges. I think what's really interesting data here in Santa Clara County, again, is job loss is reported as the number one cause of people becoming homeless.
Yes.
33% of individuals surveyed said that job loss led to homelessness. So, it brings us back to this concept of otherness, right?
Otherness.
That people experiencing homeless are different than us. And, the great majority of people in Santa Clara County are cost burden. We have a growing gap between housing costs and income. And all of us, so many of us,
living paycheck to paycheck.
Living paycheck to paycheck and at risk. And so we need to stop this narrative of otherness and, come to develop an understanding that we're all a shared community. We all share a zip code. We live here together, and in a society, like I said, with a growing gap between housing costs and income, there's a lot at risk for all of us.
Yes. What type of outreach does your organization do?
That's a great question. So we have developed a model that we call coordinated outreach, integrated outreach, where we understand that one organization alone cannot solve homelessness, that we have to bring together the existing resources in the community to break the problem apart and have very trained professionals amongst various departments looking at the issue and taking on what they can. So we work together with local organizations, focusing in specialty mental health as well, the police department, the city, everybody working together to tackle these complex issues. And so our part of the puzzle is providing social services to people living on the street.
Okay.
We have a whatever it takes approach. So we have a team of 10 currently in San Jose on the streets, full-time, 40 hours a week.
Wow.
In encampments on the streets, engaging individuals experiencing homelessness and being their number one contact to help them navigate the challenges at hand. Whatever it takes means that we will drive people to doctor's appointments.
That is so big because a lot of them do not have the money or tokens or anything like that,
Exactly.
or there are health issues that are affecting their ability to get around.
Exactly. Enrolling in benefits, helping people get an ID or social security card when there's a sweep, right? And ultimately helping people connect to jobs if they're interested, and driving them to different apartments to look at apartments, helping to connect them to subsidies. So the whole kit and caboodle, so
That
to
is
speak,
wonderful.
of helping people get off the streets and into housing.
So why do you think the number of homeless in the Bay Area, do you think it's increasing?
I think we'll have to look at the data that is coming out. We
Okay.
just did our most recent count, and I think it'll be really interesting to see how we are in San Jose. If you look at the data between 2004 to 2017, during the time of our last count, homelessness did decrease between 2004 and 2017. In 2004, we had approximately 4,910 individuals experiencing homelessness, and 2 years ago during our last count, it was around 4,350. So, hopefully we can demonstrate that the numbers went down or at least stayed static. We know that in order to do our work effectively, we have to manage both what they call the front door of homelessness and the back door of homelessness. We need to be able to house people as quickly as people are falling into the system, and we have a number of inputs into the system, right?
Yes.
Foster care, criminal justice system. There's so many individual job loss. There's so many individuals that are becoming homeless. So we need to both stop and put enough resources into prevention to ensure that people are not becoming homeless,
Right.
while also putting equal resources into housing people that have immediate needs.
Well, your case managers that go out into shelters and encampments and through their outreach, what is a typical day for them like? I mean, can you expound on something like that?
Of course. I mean, we like to say there is no typical day in the world of homeless services and especially street outreach. The purpose is to connect with individuals and to assist them immediately. So no day is going to look the same because no two individuals aren't the same.
Right.
Our team starts in the morning around 8:30. They go until 5 p.m. If there's challenges, if people are in need or need supports, we work nights. Sometimes we work up to midnight, as early as 4 or 5 in the morning, to address any challenges that the city has if they need us to come out and address an issue. And we have teams that are working along the Guad, along the central creeks throughout San Jose, Coyote Creek.
Going to the encampments.
Exactly, in encampments. And then we have another downtown team who's working directly with people in need, St. James Park, and throughout the downtown core of San Jose.
Huh. So, okay, so you mentioned that you guys help with housing and that you're placing almost what are the statistics? This is something on the website. It said 23, an average of 23 people a week.
Yeah, so that's statewide.
Statewide, okay.
In the last 5 years alone, using this model, permanent housing, permanent housing, permanent housing, PATH has helped over 8,500 people move off the streets and into permanent housing, sometimes directly from streets to housing without a shelter intervention in between. That's our mission. Our mission is to help people make it home, and so that's what we've done. And we've set an ambitious goal to help 10,000 people make it home by 2020. So I think that we have, proved 8,500 people. That's larger than the entire homeless population in the county of Santa Clara.
That's amazing.
We know that this is doable. We know we can end homelessness in communities with the right resources and enthusiasm and dedication from staff. So yeah, we're placing approximately 25 people per week across the state from streets to housing.
That is so wonderful to hear. So let me see. You help with housing. You have placed 80, and was that correct? 8,500 people?
In the last 5 years.
In the last 5 years. That is so amazing. Okay, so what about people that are disabled? How do you go about helping the mentally ill? I mean, is there anything special that you do, anything that you do that's different when you're approaching those types of clients?
Absolutely. I mean, I think, again, the number one focus is permanent housing opportunities for people in need. We find that when we can create permanent housing solutions for people struggling from mental health, that we are able to help people get on a more, see themselves in the mirror in perhaps a new light.
Yes.
We can help people connect with more consistency in their medication, should they be open to that.
Okay.
And in the buildings that we develop, particularly for Villas in the Park, the county has put an incredible amount of resources into ensuring that we can have mental health care on site. So the most important thing that we work to do for people with mental health challenges is to help them get back home and then surround them with the supportive services and health care that they need to stabilize. So that's our number one objective. And our street teams have also gained the capacity to begin billing Medi-Cal. So we actually bill Medi-Cal for the specialty mental health services that we offer on the streets with some of our specialty mental health teams.
That's incredible. Okay, so let me see. There are some people that I spoke to that have been helped by you, and like I said, I've been hearing wonderful, wonderful things. And so when people don't have the ability or money or resources, you get them out to appointments. You pick them up, you drive them around, you take them to see basically apartments and things like that.
Absolutely.
And is there funding available for like deposit assistance or things like that with them?
Yeah, I think one of the greatest things that's happening in Santa Clara County is the coordination between service providers.
Okay.
We have a number of service providers that do just that, provide security deposit assistance. So our street outreach teams will complete applications for security deposits.
That's huge.
We'll pay for the application fees, credit check fees, of course. And then we're helping to connect people to subsidies so they can either live in what we call scattered site housing, which is using a housing voucher to rent an apartment just like you or I, or or project-based vouchers where they can use in permanent supportive housing developments like the ones that we build. So that's kind of the financial, support structure that we have for people in need. And then we also have flex fund resources that we can use to help people with whatever they might need.
That's
whether
wonderful.
that be clothing or food or like I said, application fees. So we help people in with whatever their immediate needs are.
Yes. So what is one of the ways that you advocate for your clients? Because let's say a person gets placed. How long are they able to get now? Do you assign case managers to people?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So, we work at various stages of the continuum. So we do have case managers once individuals are placed into housing, and their number one objective is housing retention.
Right.
How do we not only help people get into permanent housing, but how do we help people stay in permanent housing and have long-term housing stability? We do provide services for people in need. And, a lot of the times the primary objective in housing retention is, one, ensuring that people don't feel lonely, to reduce social isolation, to help people. Sometimes we've helped with gift cards to movies or restaurants so people can be with their friends and have quality of life.
That's wonderful.
That's super important. But then also landlord negotiations, developing really quality, good relationships with local landlords so they understand that they can call the case manager if they're having an issue, and we will help resolve and mediate any conflicts that are happening to ensure this long-term housing stability for people.
What do you think of the sweeps that are happening in the Bay Area?
That's a great question. I think that, we work with local city governments, and we understand that there is, a very significant challenge between residents and businesses and the pressure that's being put on local governments around homelessness. Our number one objective is how do we help get to individuals before sweeps occur,
Right.
to connect them to services. If they are in need of storage options, we can help get storage for their belongings.
That is wonderful.
We can help keep their documents secure.
Oh,
So we actually coordinate with the city to try to predict when these sweeps might happen and to get there first, to let people know that sweeps are about to occur and help them with storage options so they don't lose critical documents that really set them back if they lose some of their most important belongings.
the most important belongings.
We've even, we have some individuals that were living on the street. One individual in particular that I'm thinking of that had such important belongings to them, and that they're carrying on the street, the ashes of a loved one.
Oh,
To imagine that this is everything that they have that's most important to them. And
right.
we put those items in storage to make sure that those most important items had a safe space for that individual to stay connected. I think the impact of the sweeps is great. There's a phenomenal impact of what's going on, and so our most important objective is to make sure we get there in time and support people.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to say about your organization before we close?
Oh my goodness.
And some contact information, because I know people are going to want to know how to contact you, a website, a phone number, and things like that.
Absolutely. So our website, again, our organization is PATH. That stands for People Assisting the Homeless. Our number one objective is helping people make it home. Our website is www.epath.org, E as in Edward, and then peopleassistingthehomeless.org, epath.org. And all of our contact information, numbers to call, are available on our website. And don't forget to, once you get on our website, to hit the San Jose tab to contact our local offices.
Thank you so much for speaking with me.
Thank you so much, Michelle. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you so much. I'm your host, Sky, with the Theskyereport. As always, keep it locked.